The Bad Batch introduced us to a new kind of specialized trooper, the CX troopers. And the series finale gave us a look at 4 different kinds of CX trooper. These were Dr. Hemlock's personal experimental clones, but each of them had different abilities and weapons and were able to use their gadgets differently. And I wanted to take a closer look at each kind of CX trooper. First up, we have the Assassin CX trooper, the sniper, the sharpshooter, if you will. And this is the same trooper we saw throughout different episodes of the Bad Batch. He's equipped with a long-range sniper rifle similar to Crosshairs, which he appears to be able to stow in his backpack. It seems to fold up into 2 separate pieces. Even though their helmets don't really resemble clone trooper helmets, his helmet is probably the closest to the members of the Bad Batch, but also appears to have some Mandalorian inspiration. As you can see, his helmet also has a rangefinder similar to Mandalorian and some clone trooper helmets. And the blue LED lighting around his ears, I believe, is for communications, although I think he just likes some sweet RGB. Next up, we have the CX trooper, who appears to be the skinniest of the bunch. He wields 2 yellow sword-like vibro blades and has red RGB lighting around his ears, but his helmet is also quite different. It's actually similar to Tech's, which made a lot of people think that in this final episode, this could be revealed to be Tech if we removed his helmet and Tech was still alive, but he wasn't still alive. But this trooper's helmet has red goggle-like eyes to look through. He also appears to move faster than all of the other CX troopers, trained to be more agile and swift with his swords, and honestly reminds me of the clone assassin troopers. We first saw these guys in the Revenge of the Sith video game, and they now fall into Star Wars Legends. Next up is the CX trooper who wields the staff. He appears to be taller than the previous 2 CX troopers and wields the long vibro spear, which can either be used in hand-to-hand combat or can be thrown. And his helmet, I think, has a lot more Japanese influence than a lot of the others, reminding me a lot of a samurai style helmet. And around his ears are a darker blue LED lighting, but he also appears to have a larger chest plate than the other troopers. The last of the CX troopers appears to be the heavy of the bunch, similar to Wrecker, I guess you could say. He appears to have vibro knuckles, I want to say, similar to brass knuckles, but is also mostly seen throwing a bowler-style weapon, which when thrown, trips the enemy and also electrocutes them at the same time. And unlike all of the other CX troopers, this guy doesn't get any sweet RGB lighting around his ears. He only has it on his knuckles. What's funny is that all of the CX troopers died in the final episode of the Bad Batch, being slain by either Echo or another member of the Bad Batch, or this helpful trooper here. I honestly enjoyed seeing a new style of experimental trooper in the Bad Batch, even though it kind of felt similar to the Dark Troopers being introduced at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2. It's like the main boss just goes to his room of Super Troopers and unlocks the door and lets them all run free. They're like the boss before the final boss. And it looks like we won't be seeing any more of these guys in future Star Wars projects, but we do know the Empire somewhere in the background continues to experiment with Dark Trooper style clones, and I think these guys could be arguably described as a stepping stone to the Dark Troopers we got in The Mandalorian, as we know that some of the early models of Dark Troopers were in fact clones.